You know what's so crazy is that nothing can. Why is my camera not focused? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Do it. Focus. Bring the camera into focus now. Okay. I guess that'll be what it is. You know what's so crazy is that we could have weeks, maybe even months where I don't think it was months, but like it's been weeks since, the election and any like crazy news that has happened. In the last like 3 days, all of the news fucking happened between South Korea almost having a coup, with its martial law, and now this assassination well, it's not even assassination. It's just, killing a healthcare CEO in broad daylight. And now apparently in my home city, my hometown of the Bay Area, is projected to have a tsunami after a crazy ass earthquake. I don't understand how like weeks can go by and nothing happens, but then days will happen and it feels like years of news just happen in like one lump sum. It's honestly wild. We are doing a tier list today, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to Adam and Shay's podcast. We are doing a phenomenal tier list. It's a tiny tier list, okay? A tiny list. Tier tiny. Okay? And yeah, it's just the news have just been such a clusterfuck of so much information, and I don't even know how to like even parse through this. But what I did find that is interesting is that that with this healthcare CEO, and I woke up to it this morning, and I didn't know what to make of it until like I saw the details inside of it. And apparently United Healthcare, who the CEO was part of, only has about a little over a 30% increase, or sorry, a 30% approval or disapproval of claims for people who need it bad. So this is exactly what I had in mind when the news broke out, and the whole healthcare thing, with United Healthcare and like how they just completely fuck over a lot of people in their insurance claims. And if you guys have trouble understanding this clip explains it all from the wonderful film, cinematic masterpiece of The Incredibles.
Denied? You're denying my claim? Oh, I don't understand. I have full coverage.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hoganson, but our liability is spelled out in paragraph 17. It states clearly.
I can't pay for this.
Excuse me. Claims, Bob Parr.
I'm calling to celebrate a momentous occasion. We are now officially moved in.
Yeah, well, that's great, honey. And the last 3 years don't count because
I finally unpacked the last box. Now it's official. Ha ha ha.
Why do we have so much junk?
Listen, honey, I've got to quiet it.
Say no more. Go save the world one policy at a time, honey. Oh, I gotta go pick up the kids from school. See you tonight.
Bye, honey.
If only policies can save these people.
I'm on fixed income, and if you can't help me, I don't know what I'll do.
All right, listen closely. I'd like to help you, but I can't. I'd like to tell you to take a copy of your policy to Norma Wilcox, WILCOX on the 3rd floor, but I can't. I also do not advise you to fill out and file a WS-2475 form with our legal department on the 2nd floor. I would not expect someone to get back to you quickly to resolve the matter. I'd like to help, but there's nothing I can do.
Can you imagine can you imagine the world that we can live in where like insurance claim people would actually like fight for its clients? Like, can you imagine that? Because in this scene, like after the fact, right? It's like Bob gets fired, and the lead dude, the short dude, essentially fires him and calls him out for helping clients like go through the legal loopholes of getting their claims. And I mean, look, I'll say this, right? When it comes to insurance, we all pay a crazy amount, whether it's auto, health, doesn't matter, right? Actually, when I did have health insurance in retail, when I worked retail, my previous career, my premiums were fucking high to the point where it actually destroyed my wages. So it was essentially better if I opt out of the insurance just to get more money. Like that's how fucking screwy this entire nation is when it comes to its insurance policies. And my God, it is literally happening right before our eyes in real life. And The Incredibles predicted it. How crazy is that? You know what I mean? So yeah, this healthcare CEO, got killed, and I don't praise anybody who does any crime of killing anybody, because no death is worth is worth it at the hands of someone else. No matter how egregious these people might be, it's the failure of the system and not of the person who killed this CEO, because tens of thousands of people die because of denial of insurance claims and stuff like that, and denial of getting the proper treatment for your health and whatnot. It is just a mind fuck of so many bullshit things that has happened, and it's honestly pretty fucking depressing. However, it's clear as day that you or me or anyone hasn't at least gone through this at least once in their life, of just insurance bullshit. It is pretty fucking unfortunate, and yeah, and then I saw on Twitter Hawk 2 doing a crypto rug pull. That's fun, but I mean, I'm not smart enough when it comes to crypto shit. I just know that it's a scam 100% of the time. A lot of crypto friends in my group of friends always want to tell me that, like, well, I mean, majority of them are scams, but there's some that are actually worthwhile, which is, I'm like, I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. I don't know about that. So, yeah, fantastic movie, The Incredibles. And the news is fucking wild. So, yeah, that's been my news update. So yeah, that's the news. I just reported the news to y'all. That's as far as I can get to, without sounding like a complete idiot, because I don't know jack from shit. So, but what I do know a lot about is is all 7 of the Paranormal Activity, all 7. Hold on, now I lost the tab. God damn it! All 7 of the Paranormal Activity films. Okay, and boy, oh boy, what a time to be alive. Okay, because I gotta tell you. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do a quick little review of Next of Kin, the latest, maybe last Paranormal Activity film. Yeah, the non-spoiler version of this review is that the film it completely takes a very different turn from what we know about the Paranormal Activity series, at least the story so far. And I guess it concluded with Ghost Dimension, which is fucking hilariously bad. But that's as far as we got with that story. And then Next of Kin has a completely different story that revolves around a young lady who found out that, on her 23andMe, she is a descendant of Amish people. And this one Amish dude who was away from the community reaches out to her, and she wants to film a documentary about this. Now, that's the non-spoiler section of it, of the film. And I guess, for those who want to skip the spoiler review, I think the film did... It had an interesting story that I am not entirely sure if I like the execution of it, just because it's like it has a mixture of different media formats of film, I guess, because it goes from camera shit, and then drones, and then cinematic shots, and then high-speed photography, like slow motion capture. And I don't know how I feel about that. So I think the film is a little disorienting, but for the most part, the story is interesting enough that I feel like, I don't know. It's an interesting watch. So getting into the spoilerific version of this, yeah, Amish people are a very interesting community of people that I'm sure are great, wonderful people. But it's always interesting to see that, like, a found footage, horror film that is that takes place around an Amish community is very interesting, just because it's like I don't know why it's like people I do not know a single thing about being Amish or being part of an Amish community. I did watch Breaking Amish for like a couple weeks when I was sick in high school. It's like those TLC shows that you from years ago that you just watch and you're like, wow, this is interesting. And it was just like mostly like drama, you know what I mean? Which I guess, like, what else is there to do in an Amish community? But yeah, I just I think that the film had an interesting, like, perspective of demonology, and I thought that, like, we were gonna see like a return to form of Toby, maybe, but that didn't exist. And so in the beginning of this film, the main character, Margot, I think her name is in search of her mom, because she dropped her off as a baby in 1997, and dropped her off at like a hospital, I think, as a baby, and just never returned, and just completely abandoned her, which is a pretty sad story. It's a pretty heartbreaking story. And it doesn't necessarily have a payoff other than that, like, they get to this Amish community, they investigate, they go through all of the matters of, like, like asking questions and gathering footage and seeing like weird shit happening in the middle of the night. And then they, walk through the woods one day and stumble or there's a drone shot that shows a barn that is very far off from where they live, which is pretty interesting. And so they're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and investigate it. Also, here's the other thing that is like kind of hilarious about this film is that like the use of breaking the rules of what is already set out for the elder dude to set, you know, by saying like don't go out at night, don't go investigating shit, you know, fucking leave your shit at back at the house, you know, don't go be asking questions all the fucking time, which is exactly what they did. And they investigated Detective Columbo style and just, you know, ask questions, you know, trying to get to the bottom of things, and they just stumble on one thing after another, and then, you know, hell breaks loose, you know. And I don't even know if this had really a satisfying ending, to be honest with you. It was a fun time. It was fun watching it. You know, there was a couple of jump scares that got me pretty good. Like in the third act, Margot presumably got overtaken by some sort of possession because in the middle of the night she hears like crazy noises, and none of the dudes wake up, who are all in the same room sleeping together, and there's like a film crew there. Consists of a sound dude and a cinematographer, or I guess the camera guy, and you know, they just didn't wake up to all these noises, and this poor woman is just getting thrown all over the place by this whatever fucking demon that is inhabiting the community. And she wakes up, and there's a camera that was pointed up, and like, you know, there was blood all over the place. And at one point, a camera was pointed up, and you can tell that there was like bloody footprints like on the ceiling and shit. That fucking got me. That was a really good fucking. I don't know if that was a jump scare as much as it's just like unsettling and fucking creepy, but that was a phenomenal shot. Yeah, that's the thing that stood out to me the most. But yeah, that was basically Next of Kin. I don't know why. I don't know why these. I don't know these a movie like Paranormal Activity, when there's amazing found footage films like Blair Witch and Wreck and I guess The Visit, right, with M. Night Shyamalan was a found footage. I've seen it once in the movie theater a long time ago, and I don't even remember it. But Wreck is a great found footage horror film that I highly recommend. But the thing that I wanted to mention is that, like, it feels like when it comes to franchises, the more that the studios and filmmakers alike just want to move away from the story of Paranormal Activity and just go into, you know, a different story, plain and simple. I don't understand why then slap the Paranormal Activity name. I know in the name it's Next of Kin, so you just consider, okay, well, this is just going to be a different story, which is fair, but why does it have to be Paranormal Activity? You know, because there's plenty of like paranormal ass shit, you know, in a few found footage horror films, and I'm sure there's like several like fan made films like on YouTube that I've seen, you know, over the course of me watching YouTube since middle school, late middle school, early high school. And yeah, I don't know. I think that there's plenty of other films that really have an unsettling factor to it that didn't need to attach itself to a whole ass franchise, right? And yeah, I don't know. Like I think Next of Kin was interesting enough that it was still a fun time, but I just don't know if I would even categorize it as like a Paranormal Activity film, because there's still questions left unanswered from Ghost Dimension, and even Paranormal 4, before the marked ones. And I guess even with the marked ones too, right? So, whatever. That being said, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, tier list time. We're doing tier list now, okay? We're that podcast now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So, all right. Let's start off with the first Paranormal Activity. So, first Paranormal Activity is great. It's $15,000 budget, simple premise, simple payoff, simple, dialogue. It didn't need to, fucking cure cancer. It's just a not run of the mill, but pretty classic found footage horror, right? So ideally, I would say maybe this would be an S tier, right? Because that's like kind of the standard, right? Of like what Paranormal Activity is supposed to be, focus on 2 to 3 characters, Mika and Katie, and the doctor, or not the doctor, but the demonologist, I think, or some ghost expert. It's just a great little, hour and a half, 90-minute, film. It's good. In my opinion, it's good. So, that's Paranormal Activity 1. Now, going into Paranormal Activity 2, which continues the story of Katie and introducing her sister Christy on the events that has essentially led up to the first Paranormal Activity, right? So, I gotta tell you, it wasn't like jaw-droppingly great. However, it was very interesting. It was still a fun time. Great jump scares. That cabinet, kitchen cabinets all flying out with drawers flying out and shit, will live rent-free in my brain. The fact that I still don't even know how they did that, and I refuse to look at trivia on IMDb, partially because I keep forgetting about it, and I just haven't gone around to it. And I'm sure if y'all have any information as to how they did that scene, I'd love to know. But for now, I think B is fair, just because it's like it's not like, a horrible ass movie, but is it fantastic? I mean, it's just an extension of what Paranormal Activity 1 was, or I guess it's a prequel, right? So, it's all in all, it was still scary and exciting. But Paranormal Activity 3, now this one is pretty interesting because we're going back, okay, 1988, I think, or 87, to Katie and Christie's childhood, and how Toby was essentially introduced, and how, Toby really came to be, and how it was conjured by a whole ass fucking coven, I guess led by their grandmother. It was very unsettling. It was very creepy, and they made sure that. What I also liked about it too was that they. I did know this little bit of trivia in terms of art department shit, which is, that's my neck of the woods. They found this house that was already furnished, that felt like it was already in the vibe of the 80s, and the set dressers didn't need to really do any dressing at all. Art department just came in, like, maybe shifted a few things around and whatnot, maybe add a few creepy crosses, and that's about it, and it still looks period accurate, right? And the whole idea of setting the limitations on what this camera can capture, and like, there wasn't really like, crazy like tripods that can oscillate. They like rigged a fan an oscillating fan, took out the blades out of it and just set a camera on top, and it just oscillates, between 2 different rooms, which I thought was fantastic. And it was set up for great jump scares. So I give this about an A, because even the end too was fucking chilling, to say the least. And so I and seeing the coven and all that shit was very interesting. And of course, like any other Paranormal Activity, it leaves so many fucking questions. And so you're just like, what the actual fuck is going on? So Paranormal Activity 3 is A. I think that's fair, right? Okay, so Paranormal Activity 4, we go into a different family. However, it's still an extension of Katie's story, right? Of like finding Hunter, and finding Hunter in this, family who adopted him, but under a different name, and they didn't, I guess, know much about the history of that baby who they adopted until this weird ass kid with the illest fits, little Robbie, that straight up little gangsta, just all monochromatic out, looking like fucking Rick Owens in his drippiest fit with the socks and sandals get up. Like, it's just the kid was undeniable. But he recruited the little boy, right? Or at least got the little boy to go across the street and essentially listen to Toby and listen to Katie. And they at the end of that, they just are roaming the fucking earth, and we have no idea where any of that shit has went off. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. I don't know if it's fair to put it at a C, but I did quite enjoy it. So I think I will put it in a B with Paranormal 2. Because I just think that it was a fun time. The story was consistent while introducing a whole ass new family that was horrifying to see their demise, and like the use of like webcams and security systems inside the house and whatnot. Like like how you would see certain homes like would call out, like have like a chime of like any door that opens, like a back door opens or like the front door opens or shit like that. It was unsettling. It's good. Very, very good use of that. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like with these films, like they had a really good gauge as to like what limitations they can use and like what advantages they can use for telling the story through these cameras, right? So, I think Paranormal 4 is it's definitely a B for sure, at least for me. Okay, so moving on to Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. Okay, so The Marked Ones was interesting just because it's like they still kind of kept on track with the trend of how Paranormal Activity works, and the whole found footage thing, and starting off with this Spanish family who are religious in their own right, and they this poor dude is the firstborn son of their family, and they are friendly with the neighbor downstairs right below them, which I think is an interesting little allegory of going to hell, kind of like Longlegs style, of going to hell. It's like, you have that family above that apartment, and then right below it, you have the coven ass like weirdos who are just painting, naked bodies and hiding shit in their attics. Good coven shit. However, there was still left to be unsaid, and I do feel like there was like definitely points of which that like I feel like there would be a little bit more in development of the story, but how they used like different dimensions and how they foreshadowed it, and the end of that with going with the kid's friend going into that closet and going into a different dimension, all to be dropped in circa 2007, in Katie and Mika's home at the end of the first Paranormal Activity. But in the POV of downstairs, where we just only see that one camera in the upstairs, right, in their bedroom. Pretty good. I thought it was solid. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I did enjoy Marked Ones a lot. More than and now that I'm thinking about it, I think I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think more than Paranormal 4, so I think I'm going to shift Paranormal 4 to C. Keep Paranormal Activity, the Marked Ones, at a B. So, sorry, Paranormal 4. It's still a good movie. It's still fun. But the Marked Ones definitely had an interesting perspective that, introduced a whole ass new family, but still kept the same exact concept and plot line through the other 4 Paranormal Activity films, right? Just by way of the Coven, we did see a little bit of a news clip. Oh, they did introduce, not introduce, but they did bring back Allie, who was from the second Paranormal Activity, who was the stepdaughter, and she went through all those experiences, and she, I guess, became also a sleuth, or like she was trying. No, I think she was like trying to like put that shit behind her, maybe. But it was, it was all found in this room, where another dude who was possessed, who was also a firstborn son, gathering all these clues as to like what Toby is and what the Coven represents, and all the newspaper clippings of like Katie going missing and Hunter going missing and all that. I thought it was interesting. So yeah, Marked Ones definitely at a B. So moving on to Ghost Dimension. Yeah, this wasn't great. I'll just say that. It wasn't great. It's a 3D ass looking movie that isn't 3D at all when I watched it, because it's just a gimmick. I don't want to watch a whole ass 3D film because I don't want to throw up. So yeah, Ghost Dimension is a D for me, just because it's like the story, I understand where they were trying to get at, and it could have been interesting, but it had none of the payoff. The main characters were not likable at all. I mean, I didn't give a shit, except for the little girl. The little girl killed it, who was possessed and all that shit, who saw Toby and whatnot. I think she killed it, but everyone else, it was just like, what the fuck is going on? These guys, I don't know if it's just like, run and gun type of shooting, and they didn't have a script, so they just had to like come up with dialogue like on the spot or whatever. But like, it was way more natural in the last 5 Paranormal Activity films, even the Marked Ones, just because it still kept to that found footage concept and still had, pretty good dialogue. Not the best, but like okay-ish dialogue and circumstances that feel a little more grounded, I guess. And Ghost Dimension was not grounded at all, except for maybe the fact as like the history of the house that burned down in the third one was rebuilt, and that's the house that was Ghost Dimension, right? But they threw out a lot of those plot lines, and apparently the house was never burned down, or it was burned down, but they didn't know how, and it's all fucking convoluted. It's pretty fucking confusing, to say the least. So yeah, it wasn't great. In fact, I would I didn't even notice there was like not an F tier, but I think that's an F tier. But for the sake of this pre-made tier list, because I'm too lazy to add another row, I'm just gonna give it a D. So, it's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. So moving on to Next of Kin, the film that essentially broke off from the main storyline of Paranormal Activity, still kept the same name, called it Next of Kin, set in an Amish community, and this little girl who was abandoned is just trying to find her mom. She's trying to find her mama, and, trying to get to the bottom of it, realize that the mama is a demonoid, who kind of looks like one of those ghouls from Witcher 3. If y'all seen the movie and played Witcher 3, you would absolutely know exactly what I'm talking about. So, Mama was a Witcher 3-esque ghoul, and also too, like, with these films, it's so funny how, like, they never utilize replaying the footage. They just only go by, what their reaction is in the next day without reviewing any of this shit at all. And then when they do, they don't point out like things that I have clearly seen, the audience have clearly seen, like in Next of Kin, right? There's one scene I think it was when when Margot, the main girl, finding her mom, and the camera dude descends this giant asshole that was in that church that is way far off from the community, and he goes down this hole and pans this camera around, see what the fuck is going on, and you could just see this little pathway into this open area where you see literally that fucking ghoul kind of lurching and kind of like moving around a little bit, bobbing her head, kind of emoting in a way, right? And none of the characters pointed that out. They were just like, "Oh, we just hear noises. That's crazy. Oh, the noises are kind of crazy. That's wild." It's like, you motherfuckers couldn't even see that little bit in the corner of the frame, which sure can be probably missed, but like, not really. It's shot, it's there. Nothing that is shot is on accident, right? Maybe for Paranormal Activity 1, maybe, but like most of the time, whenever you watch a movie, everything is intentional. So there are happy accidents, there are things that can happen, and it makes it to the final cut, but like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all didn't want to point this out? That's interesting. Okay. So, yeah, it wasn't as bad as Ghost Dimension. Ghost Dimension, I felt I was angry when I finished that movie. I wasn't angry with Next of Kin. I thought it was interesting. So I'll put it at a D. Low C, high D. And I think that's it. I think we did it, y'all. I think we nailed the tier list, right? So to go it over again, we got S tier for Paranormal 1, 3 is A, 2 is B, along with the marked ones. And in fact, you know what? I might put marked ones just before 2, just because it's just a prequel, right? It's, it told us information that we already knew, except now that we got it from the perspective of her sister, of Katie's sister, Christy. So, it's still interesting, but like, I say marked ones is definitely a high B for me. And C is Paranormal 4 and Next of Kin with Ghost Dimension dead last. I don't know how y'all feel about it. But I feel pretty comfortable with this list. You know what I mean? I think this list is solid enough. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm comfortable just doing it that way, y'all. So, yeah, that's the tier list, and that's Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as much as I enjoyed going through this series again, I think I enjoyed going through the Saw series just a little more than Paranormal, just because it's like with Saw, there's shit always happening. And of course, there's like other movies that are way better than others for sure in the Saw franchise. I mean, there's 10 fucking movies or 11? No, 10. 10 of those movies. And yeah, I think that I think the Saw series is just, I had a little more fun with it. Paranormal series was it was fine. There's quite a few good ones, and I feel like Ghost Dimension just completely threw me off kilter. Like, god damn, Ghost Dimension was so fucking, man, that was an infuriating ass movie. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that just about does it for the Paranormal series. What's next on the docket for filmies? I don't know. I don't know. We there's quite a few movies to go over. I think I'm gonna go through the movies that have released this year. I do want to finish. I want to finish several films that have came out this year that I still need to catch up on, that I don't know what I'm missing from the movies that came out this year. But I'm gonna gather up a list. I'm gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it, in the good old Adam is Chase podcast fashion. Okay, because that's what we do here. We run a tight ship on our podcast content. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. I think I got nothing more to say. I got to get going. I got to get back to work. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I miss you. Stay indoors. It's cold outside. Drink plenty of water. Don't talk to strangers, and double knot your laces. And that's it. That's as far as I can go, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.